Welcome. It's great to have you here. Welcome to Embracing Opportunity, Writing and Recording. This is the latest panel and the beginning of a whole new series of panels specifically from the Northeast Regional Folk Alliance on trying to find the silver lining in the rather dark cloud that has been 2020 and early 2021. It's sort of fitting that we're at a point where we're just starting to think about what life might look like and what the new version of things could be. We're spending a lot of time trying to get there and to talk about what was, what has been, and where we're going. So hope tonight's discussion inspires you a little bit to try to think about what can be. And thanks for joining us. For NERFA, this is our reinvention. We're now a year-round organization that offers services throughout the year. You saw in sort of the pre-roll things about peer groups, mentor programs, and other items. And for more information, please visit nerfa.org and feel free to join us. If you're a performer, this Monday, April 5th, at 4 p.m., there is a peer group. It's a wonderful opportunity to sit down with your peers who are doing their best in this particularly troubling or at least challenging time period to be a musician. And it's an opportunity to just talk with your peers and sort of work things out. It's really pretty helpful, and we hope you take advantage of it. Completely free resource. Aside from that, we are going to be doing more of these Embracing Opportunity sessions. We're going to be doing one on music videos and video recording. We're going to do one on outdoor events because it's almost that time. For some of us, it is that time. We're going to be talking to some established artists and some newer artists about things that they've learned during the pandemic. And we're going to be pulling in some mental health experts to specifically talk about techniques that we all can use as we're dealing with this kind of stuff. So if you're interested in learning more about that, again, nerfa.org, sign up for our mailing list, and you'll be the first to know. All right. All that being said, we're really excited specifically for tonight because tonight we've got a series of artists and human beings who have done a pretty spectacular job making lemonade out of rotten eggs. And they're all really wonderful people. So I'm really excited to have them here. And it's only fitting that this is also our first officially sponsored panel by our friends over at Air Gigs. It's really a new to me organization, but a wonderful organization that has created a way for people working on albums to find sort of a one-stop shop of you needing session musicians to record, you needing an engineer, needing a producer, you needing PR and marketing. It is a sole place that you can go to find all of those things. And for musicians, if you are a session musician, if you are a songwriter, if you are any of those things, it's a place for you to go and sell those services and hopefully make some money. We're really excited to be working with them here, and we thank them for being part of the evening. All that being said, I'm going to bring in the hostess with the mostest, one of my favorite people in the folk community, Mr. Rob Hinkle from the wonderful band Iliami. And you are the first returning moderator, nice. And you will continue returning as long as we can convince you to come.
That's a hell of a promise, man.
Yeah, it's more of a warning,
and especially because you had me a little bit worried because you had thrown out, I think, 3 of my least favorite words about COVID, which was challenging, unprecedented, and then you even threw in troubling times. But then you won me back with making lemonade out of rotten eggs. I hadn't heard that one before, so thank you.
Yes. Well, I just to keep things that I think you would appreciate. Again, I want to say for everyone, our presenters and our performers, I really do recommend you should be looking for opportunities to interact with your peers. We're all dealing with a lot of stuff during this, but to do it alone, to quote a wise old man in a cave, it's dangerous to do so. Come out, please. If you're a performer at nerfa.org. If you're a presenter at nerfa.org. and we'll get you the link to the meeting. And it's a great place to sort of talk to folks and see what you're all up to. With that being said, I am going to leave this to you, my friend, because this is your event. Thank you.
You don't want me to take this over. You just gave me the Zelda lead. My wife and I have been cleaning out the basement trying to find exciting new things to do with our lives, and discovering her old Nintendo was definitely a big part of that. Anywho, my name is Rob Hinkle. I'm here in Baltimore, Maryland, and I was last with all of y'all Nerfa Knots talking about live streaming and home video and recording, and now I'm all like, whoosh, 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 which is exciting, and teaching people how to do that is a great thing. As artists, musicians, and as people, about a year ago, which is nuts, we saw the cancel button was on all of our calendar apps, and realizing that there's one last place in Indiana that's never going to close down their live music and they're just going to muscle through, but it's not like safe to get there anymore. I myself took my speakers out of my trunk and I put my PA in my closet, and I thought, now what? A lot of us have been writing, and a lot of us have been really crazy productive, and some of us have had sourdough and home improvement and live streaming, and we're going to talk about that and ninjas and ice cream, because that is how the independent singer-songwriter do. I'm so happy to be presenting a forum of artists to chat about how they embraced like the silver linings and the opportunities writing and recording in the past year. Going in no particular order, mostly to keep Ethan on his toes, I'd like to introduce to you Helen's words and notes are real in the way that best moments in life are real, and she is sincere in every phrase without losing one precious moment of quirkiness. After years of writing songs while making a living as a musical stand-up comedian, Helen Austin's move to Canada in 2002 is the catalyst for her musical career, because she crossed the border, I guess, and she's now one half of the prolific cross-border duo Big Little Lions. How are you doing, Helen?
I'm good. It was funny hearing you say that. But I'm good in sunny BC here.
Sunny, oh yeah, right, because you still got sun out there. Okay.
Yeah.
Coming also from the left coast there, where she lives with her wife and kids, please welcome American Ninja Warrior Rachel Garlin, whose April 2020 album Mondegreens plays like a love letter to today's precarious times. Artist, athlete, activist Rachel Garlin, who seeks to swing and release through the adventures of life while collaborating and engaging with her community, has a overly physical bio, but it's making me feel threatened even reading it. I didn't get to meet you in advance of the panel tonight, but Biff told us everything about you. And how are you?
I'm doing really well. Thanks for having me.
Nice. When you're talking to us, just lean in a little bit, or if you've got a volume control there, just give us a little more juice there. And then just up the I-95 from me in New Jersey, MC, poet, songwriter Kuf Knotz, and classically trained harpist, guitarist, pianist, vocalist Christine Elise are an unlikely pair connected by, this is fun to read, a similar vision, wanting to create positive, forward-thinking music driven by a strong message. Both Kuf and Christine are intrinsically motivated to foster community growth through musical expression. That sounds exquisite. How are you, Kufstein Collective? Nice.
Good, great.
Hey,
Happy to be here.
Excellent. Well, it's a pleasure to see all y'all again. I got to meet some of you last night in this virtual format, and it's always wonderful to sort of pretend like we've known each other for longer than we have. And I visualize that you all have torsos and legs. And thank you very, very much for being part of this. So, we all had projects and we all had tours and lives interrupted by quarantines and COVID, and I've seen a couple of these panels sort of fall into a lament, which is really legit. We're going to try to focus on what we've done and not about the brick wall. I don't remember who said it. The brick wall that took every trajectory we were on and was like, haha. But that doesn't make any of the pain or loneliness or just plain suck of the last year any less real. NERFA and Folk Alliance are doing a lot of the peer groups that Ethan talked about. Just contact performer@nerfa.org if you're interested in participating in those sorts of peer groups. NERFA is doing a lot of outreach to trying to connect artists and make sure that you've got someone to reach out to, talk to someone. Your fans obviously love you, but we're a community, we're a peer group, we're trying to do that. Mm-hmm. But I want to talk about what we've been doing. So I guess, Rachel, since I hadn't talked to you at all before, I'm going to come to you first. What have you been doing with yourself for the last year?
It's been a whirlwind, a really fun and I'd say adventurous kind of year for me. I started COVID by stepping into the sidewalk space outside my garage in Noe Valley, San Francisco, California. And extending some concerts toward the community. It's something I had done pre-COVID, mostly on Saturday mornings with my wife and kids. But during COVID, it kind of became a Wednesday night special, kind of a hump day, non-rush hour soundtrack of the evening community experience. And so I did a lot of live music in my neighborhood from a distance with a mask, sometimes in distant collaboration with folks across the street in their windows.
Nice.
The accordion player down the street, who I didn't know played accordion, brought her instrument 3 flights down, and we kicked it off with a lot of adventure, just like right in our front. I would say garden, but it's cement.
Nice.
It's a sidewalk.
So your first go-to right from the start was just like get out on the street and play something.
Pretty much. Yeah. I mean,
that's
right at the
pretty
edge of the
powerful.
garage, we were really cautious. My sister's
Right.
an infectious disease doc, so we were under strict orders, and we kept our distance. But yeah, absolutely. It was kind of like, let's be alone together. Let's be shut in and also peek out. And that was our kickoff.
Nice. So actually, Helen, what was your first reflex as this all came down the pike?
Well, we were mid-tour. I'm Big Little Lions, the duo I'm in. The other guy lives in Cincinnati, and I'm on Vancouver Island in BC. So we were in the middle of a tour, and it was, as the tour went on, we were going, yeah, this is not looking good. And Paul's like, yeah, I need to get home before they close the borders and don't let me in, because we were doing a tour
Right.
of BC. So we both went our separate ways. So that's how we began this whole thing.
Jeez. So did one of you fly home and the other one took the car, or like?
Yeah,
or
well,
is that how you operate?
I was driving. We drove from my place on Vancouver Island into interior of BC. So yeah, we in a snowstorm in the middle of the night drove back to Vancouver on one of the worst windy roads. I was going, it's an adventure, isn't it?
That's heinous.
I was really trying to see the positive. Anyway, so he got on a flight and went back to Cincinnati, and 2 days later they did close the borders. So it was a good call, and I got on the ferry and went back to the island and been here ever since.
And Kuf and Christine, what was your first reflex? Okay, performance, we got to get home. You were probably even further from home, hey?
Well, actually, we were in the area. We were in Wayne, PA. Actually, we had a gig. I think it was the night that they really shut down all the venues.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a choice, like we could play if we wanted, or we could just not play, and we chose not to play. And we headed from Philadelphia to New Jersey, and have been there since.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I actually want to head back to Helen for a sec, simply because suddenly you're thrown into this situation of being apart from your partner for years, right? I think you said the project started I'm getting my people mixed up. How long have you been Big Little Lioning?
We started in 2012, but we were just writing for TV and film at the time. We had no designs on being a band. And then 2014-15, we started playing
So
together.
had you already been interacting digitally beforehand?
Oh, yeah.
And you
So-
sort of had that in place?
Yeah, so the writing and recording bit is no different for us. We still write over email and record using Dropbox. So that's
No, nice.
yeah. So no difference there. So it was just we would tour like 7 or 8 times a year, short tours, because we're both married to other people, and so suddenly couldn't do that anymore.
Kufstein, you obviously got COVID in together, but Rachel, do you collab with other people that aren't on your street? Like, did this suddenly, introduce challenges to who you were writing with? Or
Yeah, absolutely. I do. Want to double check that you're getting my sound okay now?
yeah, you're fine.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
thank you.
So yeah, I collaborate with people in LA. I'm working on a record with a producer named Johnny Flower, and a bunch of musicians in LA. So I do my guitar and vocals here at the house in my small windowless closet office, and then I have musicians here in the Bay Area from whom I've been quarantining, and so I work with Julie Wolfe and Vicki Randall, and they're across the bay, but we We send music digitally as well. And, you figure little workarounds in terms of Zoom and the delay, and you just time things perfectly so you can catch, a vocal or a
Time things
harmony,
perfectly.
and you lip
No
sync with
problem.
each other. And, the collaboration has become really rich. You find out who's a night owl right away.
Yeah.
Because you just you're text, you're like, I'm going down to the studs, meaning downstairs. You're under your stairs and someone else is awake, and you either figure out, based on Facebook Live, or you text somebody. And so the night owls and the introverts, we're having kind of a great time. Just, you can't see us as much,
Was that the Studs?
The studs, the studio. I don't know.
Okay. Did you have to build the Studs during COVID?
Yeah, I did. I had to drop a wall during COVID I have 3 kids, so I had to drop a wall. I had to switch the orientation of a door because, a closet door can go in and create a very small closet. But if you switch that door, all of a sudden you have like a New York bedroom and anything's possible. So, yeah, I did construction.
Transform the living room.
Yeah, we made a setup,
Gotcha. Was this your first experience with having to do home recording side of things, or?
Yeah, for sure. Because previously, the past 2 years, we've consistently been on the road. So, and then when we are home, we just go right into a studio. So this was our first time having to do everything ourselves and get accustomed to that.
Gotcha. Jeez. Yeah, it's been a lot of change. I mean, reorienting this room over and over again, depending on what bandmate can make it and who's in what pod and everything like that.
I was going to say, Rob, your studs are looking good, like capital S studs.
My studs are pretty fine. I mean, I'm just I've drilled you knocked out a wall. I put a tiny little hole in mine. Had the drummer come over, asked if I could borrow her power drill, and then I looked at the power drill and I was like, but wonderful drummer, don't you think you could do that for me? I discovered a new terror of drums. It's not even, or of drills. It's not even pretty. Helen, any studing there? I mean, you look like you had a nice little setup already, right?
Yeah, we both Paul and I already are set up a studio-wise because it's a learning curve. So we did this learning curve in 2008, 2009. We both started recording from home. So we've been at this for a while. So.
Yeah. And I know that you do a lot of writing for TV and everything. Do you do, it's always frustrating because I try to get acquainted with the artists in advance, but there's so much music out there. There's so much amazing music out there. And so when a number, you wonderful people land on my desk and I'm like, oh, who are you? Oh, that's cool. YouTube them. Okay, that's really cool. Oh, that's a cool video. I like you coming down the hallway. Where's the hallway?
That's my house.
That's just your house.
Wow,
okay,
that
cool.
is so old.
That's fine. It's got the
really
most
old
YouTube hits
video.
that was happening right now. Anyways, I was excited. But so do you do a lot of writing for yourself as well?
We do a mixture. I do pretty much everything I do now is with Paul. Yeah, I used to do a lot of stuff on my own, but I really like being a band. I don't like being me, if you know what I mean.
I feel that. Yeah.
It's nice. It's easier to promote something that's not just you. That's a band. So because I'm doing all the promotion side of things as well. What was your you had a question and it's gone.
Actually, where I'm going with that is, what were you writing about a year and a half ago?
Oh,
and
right,
what did you start writing about this past year? There was a lot going on we had COVID and we had lockdown and I think it was Kuf who said suddenly we had to live with ourselves, quite literally. Yeah. And then that's on top of murder hornets and Trump, what changed in your writing and what changed in your inspiration?
Well, we've always written. We've done a lot of writing for TV and film, which is don't write specifics. It has to be the feeling. Don't say too much because the TV show wants to do all the telling. You're just kind of adding to it. So we've done a lot of kind of vague lyrics for a long time.
Air gigs, everyone. Perfect. Sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. So we and then the album before all this happened, we decided to write a more personal album. And then when the pandemic hit, while we're still on tour, we're going, oh, everyone's going to be writing about the pandemic. It's so dumb. And then we got back and our publisher said, hey, can you guys write some stuff about the pandemic? We need that, ads are changing. They're, things about caring and being isolated. And so we did that and kind of, It wasn't. I mean, it was from us, but it was also we were writing for our publisher. And then after that, when we started doing our monthly releases, these are the songs that are for us.
I want to come back to that in a sec.
Okay.
Rachel, yeah, change of inspiration going from point A to point B. I guess your most recent album was released right at the beginning, kind of COVID, so that writing was probably already in place. Are you working on something new? And if so, where's that inspiration coming from? Is there a change?
Sure. Yeah, the album came out first week of COVID, so that was a big CD non-release party. And then I started writing more regularly, just at night and in the isolation of the quarantine. And I ended up writing an album that is coming out in a month or so, and it's called Late to Bloom. It's all songs from the pandemic, and the inspiration, remained the same kind of idea. We were in a particular state leading up to the election, and just taking the temperature of our country and being flip-flopping between kind of freaking out and feeling calm, or feeling confident and feeling panicky around all of the political, social upheaval and unrest and hope and protest and progress. And so the album kind of embraces those themes, I think, on a personal level, storytelling. And then in February, I did something totally different, new for me, but
You FOMmed, right?
I FOMmed.
Nice.
And February, album writing month, I dove in and I decided to write really regularly. I wrote a song sketch a day, kind of as a very intentional exercise in counteracting a previous practice called...
drill into that. What do you mean by that?
Oh, well, you can stall, you can withhold, you can write something and then over control it and release it a long time later after it's lost its magic, if there was any. And I really felt like I needed to sort of have some shock therapy in the opposite direction. So I decided to write quickly and in a rough way and embrace the imperfection of it and the mistakes, and also to share right away in that same kind of vibe. It was here's the song, I just wrote it, here are the mistakes that I'm making as I'm writing it, as I'm sharing it, and on to the next one. Yeah, it was a sketchbook. Yeah. So I did that for 28 days, and that was just a crash course in embracing imperfection and keeping the channel open and just trying to offer that as a model to other folks. Everyone's creative and we all can get stuck. I know I can, and get in my own way. And so that was an offering and also just a huge learning for me.
Yeah. FOM, for those of you who aren't familiar with it. FOM is a really cool thing. It's February Album Writing Month, FOM.org. And the theory is that you write an entire album's worth of material, 14 songs in the 28, or leap day. Easy, 29 days. And in theory, you're writing and recording it, but it's a really amazing online community with people sort of shooting ideas back and forth. And it's not just folk music, and it's just not somebody sitting in their bedroom with their ukulele, but it's also the heavy metal artists, and it's hip hop, and it's electronica. There's so much breadth in there, and they're all communicating back and forth and saying, hey, I really liked this. People keep it positive. They're good at keeping it positive. Mm-hmm. So if you're thinking, I need a kick in the ass next February, may I recommend you start researching FOM.org.
Mm-hmm. You might not have to wait that long, because I don't know if they're still doing the 50 songs in 90 days in the summer.
Is it the same organization?
Yeah, it's the same organization. I haven't done it for quite a few years, but I did attempt the 50 songs in 90 days. I never finished it. That was tough.
I've written a couple of albums through FOM, but it's a lot. Yeah, it's definitely something to get into. So Christine and Kuf, shifting writing, what you were writing about, what you came to. You're, at least Christine, you're a music therapist first. Is that accurate? Mm-hmm. So I don't know where you are as writers. Where do you come from, and how did that shift around this time last year?
Yeah, we were almost finished with an album, pretty much finished with an album last March. And then lockdown happens, and we just kind of just rested and completely just stopped for a moment and kind of fell over and slept. We hadn't slept for a while and just really didn't have too much inspiration right when it hit, because it's just trying to figure out what is going on.
Mm-hmm.
But then all of a sudden, we got this huge wave. About 2 months in?
Yeah, about 2 or 3 months in.
And started writing like crazy.
Wave of inspiration.
Yeah.
Yeah, it like came out of nowhere. Well, I guess not out of nowhere. With everything that was going on, it just like it hit us at once, and we just rode that wave, and created an album, a brand new album. And that other one we just kind of let go, and we'll come back to it at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But all the new inspiration is what we really wanted to capture.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. And did you change, I guess, themes, or just?
I wouldn't say we changed themes. We might have just dug deeper into those themes, and I think a better presentation of those same themes because of everything being elevated.
And so this is an album that's on its way out, right?
Like, yep. It's complete. It's just, it's that time of figuring out the best way and best time to release it.
Right. Now what? Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, do we all have new albums coming out in this like hopefully tail end of COVID?
We've got monthly singles. We decided we were tired of the album cycle. We were screwed over by our last label, so we decided to do something different.
Positive. We're air gigs. Wait, no, that don't associate those things.
No, it wasn't air gigs.
I'm just grateful that we have a sponsor. That's a really killer thing. Yeah. This is, it's a really hard time for artists and companies and venues and labels and the people who are putting our gear and on the trucks and tuning our guitars in the meantime. I don't have any of that, but it's a hard time for the entire world. And so the idea that someone is forward thinking and has the spare change to sponsor something like this, sponsor a community event is really, really awesome. So thank you, Air Gigs. Air Gigs. We're just going to keep saying
Air Gigs.
Wait, hold on. Where's mine?
Sorry.
Air Gigs.
Nice.
Man. Okay. So I need to not distract myself because I get into the, it's the community thing. It's very often that we're sitting here with these specific one or two other people in our universe, and that's all we get to communicate with. Being in a room together doesn't get to happen very much. Sticking with Kuf and Christine, I mean, like, community is sort of, it's in your bio. It's one of the things that you're talking about. You're touring, you're going and you're bringing people together, and you're doing these therapy sessions, and you're doing whatever else with that. How did your concept of community and how to approach that?
I'll let Christine answer that.
How did that roll?
Yeah. Well, Kuf has been doing a lot of performing in the community. And I wasn't doing any performing before we started this project. I was a full-time music therapist. And so when we linked and went on tour, it just fell into place that I would bring the music therapy world and he would bring the performing, music business, kind of music industry side. And we just kind of molded them together. So on the tour, we would plan our tours first. And then if we were in a certain area for a few days, I would approach outpatient psych places, nursing homes, special education schools, all different kind of places in the community. And we would do workshops during the day as to kind of be into the community and cause this kind of ripple effect in addition to performing there at night. And
then so COVID happens. Mm-hmm. You've kept the community aspect going, though, right? Mm-hmm. You said it's turned into more of a local thing, though, rather than doing it all across the nation. Philadelphia, especially, had been really supportive of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we Philadelphia, I'd say the tri-state area. Mm-hmm. We reached out to different people, and we took it from being there in person to doing a video project that Christine came up with, which was really great. It still kept us connected to people, and it was a project where she asked people to videotape themselves giving their meaning of freedom. And then she created music to their words, and then I did visuals through video. And we released about 4 of them.
Yeah.
And each video had maybe about 7 to 10 people in it. Yeah. So it was cool. It was a cool project.
How'd you do outreach for something like that to gather people together to make that happen?
So first we got funding from the Pennsylvania Humanities Art Council. They did this like pop-up grants to a lot of people in Pennsylvania that had small projects to help this idea to help people through COVID and stay connected virtually. So we pitched this project to them, and then we just blasted it through social media and mainly asked our community and friends and artists that we knew from the area to just submit, and then that's how we did it, just kind of through our network.
Gotcha. I should move myself along here. Rachel, so community and how you build the community, it sounds like you were like really grassroots the hell out of it, like go out on the front yard and draw people together, not too close, but draw people together and create a network of people supporting each other right locally. Were you doing that in a more extensive way with your music online, or how else were you approaching that?
Yeah, I was doing live stream concerts. I got involved with I Need Space, a concert series in the first instance, focusing on LGBTQ plus artists across the country, that expanded and became just a network of people performing for each other and covering each other's songs and supporting each other, learning the live stream skills. I also am involved with a local organization, a youth-run record label called Upstar Records through Sunset Youth Services. So we're doing live streams and open mics for youth online. And again, the training is a big part of it. And it's kind of fun. Like everyone could bring kind of a beginner's mind to this setting. And some people had experience, others didn't, and we could just really share information. And it was kind of a leveling in a way. It's like, okay, I've toured a lot, I haven't. I've live streamed a lot, I haven't. How can we combine resources in real time and share each other's music? And then at the same time, how are we giving voice to voices that have been left out? How are we responding to national crises around, racial profiling? And how are we responding to the environment changing and the election? And I think it was just all really integrated, these efforts to promote community health, to promote community music, to promote community outreach like you folks are doing. And I just felt like musicians and artists were well positioned to kind of be some of the movers and the shakers as our society was trying to repair in real time to constant wounding that happened. And
constant wounding, yes.
I feel very connected to artists and activists during this time, and very grateful to audiences who have adapted, and of all ages, who've adapted to the different platforms that we need to use. And so I'm excited. I mean, there's been a lot of pain and struggle, and there's been a lot of progress. You can feel it in a year. It's just happened.
For sure. For sure.
It's interesting that you mentioned the open mic aspect. One of the primary things that I do a lot in my own community here in Baltimore is I do a lot of open mics and do a lot of like artist development from the very base level and up, and finding a way to take that community and move it online has been one of the most technically challenging things I've ever done.
For sure.
Taking 30 people every week and saying, how do I get you online with, what you've got lying around in your house has been this crazy endeavor. And especially when you're talking about disparate scenes or disparate age groups, there's so many technical challenges and things like that, trying to rebuild your community in a separate place. Helen, how was that rolling for you? Were you having to reach out people? Were you able to draw together a community? Was that part of your year?
Well, my year's kind of split because I work at a local level where I used to do a lot of stuff. So I did.
Yeah, talk to me about your local community specifically.
Well, my local community, I did like outdoor concerts in people's backyards and stuff, because we were allowed to have 50 people socially distanced up to 50 people in an audience in BC anyway. So I did a few of those, and a portion of the money for that went to Black and Indigenous youth programs, just because all that stuff was blowing up at that time,
Right.
and it just felt like the right thing to do. And then we've continued that. I think it was August we started doing a monthly Big Little Lions online concert, and we do the same thing with that. A portion of the donations go to the same programs. So we do a monthly concert just to keep ourselves kind of, so we can still do the banter, because we have this kind of sibling relationship, Paul and I, and we need to be able to keep that banter and silliness going for when we are allowed to be on the road again, when we're allowed to perform together. And we also we talk to each other every week now, which we didn't in the past because we didn't need to, and then now the four of us talk to each other. And so we've got our monthly concerts and just anything to keep us feeling like we still belong.
For sure.
Have we all been live streaming? Helen, you've been doing monthly. What else have we been doing? Rachel?
Yeah, live stream. I played on a virtual Olivia cruise last week. So
What is that?
Well, I mean, Olivia Travel, typically they sponsor, cruise vacations for mostly lesbians and.
But how do you do a virtual cruise?
Well, I put up a picture of a ship, and see, that's the Queen Mary, and I had like some life jackets and stuff like that.
Okay.
And, we made a virtual trip of it, and I wore my Dramamine bracelet for seasickness, and you just get into the spirit of it, And I've never been on a cruise ship, so I was imagining the whole thing anyway, and we cruised. It was really fun.
I'm on board with what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Thank you. You bet.
So live streaming, just wherever you can. I'm going to start doing a regular thing every other Wednesday, so everyone's invited. I'll make
Every
it a
other
cruise theme.
What
It
is
makes
up
you
with
feel like
Wednesdays?
you're still a musician, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Yeah. And keeping the banter going and practicing with your audience and everything. Christine and Kuf, have you been webcasting? Livecasting? Streaming?
I think we did a couple in the beginning. As we've been
You either did or you didn't. I mean, you accidentally webcast, and that's for your bathroom, and then you're in trouble. I mean,
we did like a few pre-recorded type things.
Gotcha.
Just because really with figuring out the sound, that's what worked best for us at the time, like pre-recording it, because we were able to get the sound how we wanted without
Absolutely.
the lag and this and that. So we did a few of those. But then after that, we really haven't been doing much because we've been in the studio recording. We were lucky enough to be able to go to a studio, Morning Star, a few months into the pandemic. They opened the doors and let us come in. So that's where most of our what would have been performance time went.
Yeah.
It's amazing how the way you said Morning Star, it's Morning Star, and I'm thinking
Morning Star.
An astrological, a beautiful heavenly body, as opposed to Morning Star, in which all my D&D comes to the front, and I'm just like, that's like 1d8 damage, and I'm concerned.
Beautiful morning
That's neither here
star.
nor there. What's that?
It's the beautiful morning
The
star.
beautiful Morning Star, the well-polished mace-like weapon. Oh, whoa. Sorry. So how have you been staying in touch with your fan base during this time then? If you're not doing the live streaming, are you reaching out to them in another way?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of still posting online, reaching out, sending out, email blast, putting up videos, just any way we can through the social media outlets.
We've been doing a lot of video work.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Oh yeah, you've been telling me you've been doing a lot of video production and things like that as well as
Yeah. So that's been keeping us pretty connected too. It's not directly like our music, but it's still keeping us connected with all the artists. And so that's been a beautiful thing too as well that's come out of it.
and going live like in the studio.
Yeah.
You know, so it feels like people are there with us, you know.
More like a teaser. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, Helen, you've been doing you said monthly live streams. Do you feel like you're reaching the same people that you toured to? Do you feel you're expanding? Do you feel the audience is different? You treat them differently?
It's an interesting mix because what we did was we started, we did each album back. We've got like 6 or 7 albums, so we would do each one front to back, just play it through, and then would play our new video that had come out that day. It coincides with the monthly release,
right? Because you were doing a monthly video, or you are doing a monthly video, right?
Monthly. Yeah. So I do a video for each of the monthly releases, and then we tag that on the end of whatever concert we're doing. And now that we've run out of albums, we're now doing songwriters that have inspired us. So last month it was Simon Garfunkel. This month it's the Beatles, and so we do a mix of song. What is it called? Song swap, because obviously we can't sing together. And then we'll put together live recorded videos where one of us does it first and the other one plays along. And so we put those videos together because people want to hear the harmonies, because that's what we're about.
And then are you communicating with your audience like in the chat, or how are you keeping that connection going?
Yeah, we use StreamYard, which we love, which obviously you guys love as well. And I love the chat for that because you get it from YouTube and you get it from Facebook. You get everything there in one place, which means that we encourage people to comment and just say where they are, or if they've got any comments at all. And so we're kind of chatting with the audience. And last month, because our time changed...
Air gigs.
Last month, because our time change was different to Europe, I had a whole bunch of friends in England, because it was at 11 o'clock at night rather than at midnight. So they all tuned in. So now we've changed the time so we can get the English people as well.
Nice. Yeah, we had that occur with our own webcasts, which are... we're doing weekly ones, and it's the same time span though. And all of a sudden, our UKlings were just a little bit closer temporally, and they were excited, and we were excited, and there was less of that weird chat that doesn't look really good. Of like, I fell asleep for a little while, but I'm back for this. Megan Carey would like to know, where are you releasing these monthly releases to release them? Were you releasing them on Spotify or elsewhere?
They're on Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, Tidal, Bandcamp, our own website. Everywhere.
BigLittleLions.com. Nice. Borders books. No. For a return to the old days. Well, I kind of love our world. We live in the future. It's kind of amazing what we can do. Rachel, so how are you reaching out to your audiences once you had gone to live streaming? How are you interacting with them? Do you feel like you were reaching the same people? Were there new people in the audience all of a sudden?
Yeah, there's been, a variety of, I think we call it like cross-pollination with all the collaboration with other musicians. I mean, a real benefit is, you meet other people's audience members, and I've been fortunate to have some publicity opportunities during the pandemic that have connected me with new listeners, and I have a new, exchange with a community in the ninja world. I have become a ninja athlete.
Oh, hold on. Just where's my
Ninja.
I do want to sort of push into that a little bit.
Sure. Yeah.
But not yet. We're not ready yet. Okay. Obviously everyone is like, so what do you do with your everyday world? And you're like, well, I'm a rock star. And they're like, holy crap, we want to, expound upon that. Right. Every time you hit a new community, you bring your music there.
You bring your music. Yeah, exactly. It's an exchange. So I've started practicing ninja athletics, and I have met other ninja athletes, some of whom are also musicians. And so that's a whole world of cross-pollination and inspiration and challenge. And so that's an example of how the pandemic has pushed me toward different ledges, if you will, and I'm enjoying it. I'm riding that way.
You didn't just ninja as of the pandemic, right? Were you pre-ninjing, or
I was not pre-ninjing? Yeah, no.
Okay.
this happened because someone suggested at one point that I might be interested in ninja sports because I was at a theme park and I did a hang off a bar in order to try to win a prize for one of my sons. I did not win the prize. I did not hang for the allotted amount of time, but I hung in there for a while. And so somebody said, you might want to look into ninja sports, and I didn't. But then when the pandemic hit, I did. And so it's been a journey since then, and I've been training for American Ninja Warrior.
Can I say your arms look amazing?
Yeah, there's something about the lighting, and you're just like,
it's like
ripped.
you are ripped.
Thank you. I've been trying to learn how to do a pull-up. I cannot do a pull-up. I can do chin-ups and stuff, but I learned during Ninja, like, that's a whole different thing. So my goal is to learn how to do one pull-up, and then from there, advance.
Helen, thank you for saying that, because as the host and as a male host specifically, I don't think I was allowed to sort of go into that territory. Yeah. Now, I'm not actually a believer in either pull-ups or chin-ups or any of that kind of stuff. I'm a very sedentary individual. But I'm glad that you're out there carrying on the acrobatic assassin traditions. I find them important to all of us.
I can't wait to tell my son.
I know.
I just met a ninja, and he's 18. He's not a little kid. It's just like, I met a ninja.
I remember my brother introducing me to American Ninja Warrior, and I was just like, I had this. Well, I know he introduced me to the Japanese one first, and I was just like, what is going on here? Yeah. So if any of you are thinking to yourselves, I've watched a lot of folk music recently. I've watched a lot of music in general recently. Give yourself 15 minutes. Explore the world of American Ninja Warrior. And be like, what did I just see? And then come back. It's fine. The music is different. It's a little bit more like the Air Gigs trailer than it is the rest of the Nerfa world. Man, I totally had a plan for where I was going to go with this, but I kind of got derailed.
The Ninja Studio?
Yeah. The Ninja Studs. Yeah, I do have the Ninja Studs. They're outside. Nice. I built a rock wall for my kids, and we put up like a slack line. And
I imagine a lot of this is for your kids.
It's all for my kids. Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's all for my kids. So,
there's got to be a level of angst that comes with the idea of like, I hung in there, but I did not hang in there long enough. I was a good mom, but I wasn't a good enough mom. That would concern me.
Yeah. I mean, there's crossover skills like musicians, we're working without a net. We're out here, doing our thing. And I think that kind of like agility training, like writ large, is something that we're all doing. And, it's just like the metaphor definitely extends. I'm sure folks could speak to it. We are facing obstacles. We are, falling, failing, catching, and, releasing into space and seeing what artifacts we can like use for balance and stability.
This is like a song right here. You're writing.
Yeah. I wasn't buying the metaphor at first. Like I was reading your bio and things like that. I was like, oh, we're swinging and releasing and everything like that. I was not buying it, but you sell it with this. I'm on board. Yeah, absolutely.
It's true.
So part of our job as musicians, I guess, you found this, I imagine, a release and certainly a way forward and something to keep you sane during this time, in ninjing. And I'm sorry, I probably shouldn't use that term, but yeah, you're
it's
ninjing.
yours. It's yours.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I'm
Lost the plot.
I'm a terrible host. I'm just like fascinated. But as artists, we're often in the role of consoling the community around us. I mean, I've often gotten from fans and from friends, as we're saying things like, "Oh my God, I'm doing all this stuff, but am I doing enough? How am I supporting people?" We do an awful lot of supporting others with just what we're writing, and the theory of normalcy that comes with doing our webcasts and people tuning in and feeling like they're hearing us again, and that's important. And then with the interaction in a lot of these ways, often interacting even maybe a little more intently than we were able to before from a stage or something like that, our audiences are feeling heard by us as well in a very different kind of way. But it's a lot of weight. And I was wondering, okay, not all of us have ninjing to fall back on. Helen,
Yet.
what have you yet? I know, we're all going to come with you. It's going to be awesome. By this time next year, y'all are going to be ripped and I'm going to be dead. And you're going to be like, oh, Rob fell in the pit. That was very sad. Tentacles. But like, seriously though, Helen, what's kept you sane? Have you had to reach out to other things, and
I have.
what have you turned to?
I've turned to ice cream. My love.
Oh, I hadn't mean to go quite there yet.
My life, ice cream. You know what happened? I didn't used to eat a lot of sweet things. I was doing the whole keto thing for a while, and then I was like, oh, forget that. Give me the sweet stuff. And we've got this amazing ice cream place in town called Love's Ice Cream, and they ran out of my favorite lovely lemon square ice cream. So I'm like, I can make that. So I went, and they just started selling these beautiful bottles of local cream. And so I bought local cream and bought all the stuff and made this ice cream. I'm like, oh, this feels really good to make ice cream. And I've got my husband and my son at home who, will eat all the ice cream so I don't have to eat it all. And then I ventured into like blackberry apple pie ice cream and chocolate Cointreau ice cream and Christmas cake ice cream. That was my daughter who wanted that. It's just basically fruit in booze. In
Oh
ice
my
cream.
God, yes.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and she's not young, so it's okay. She's 23. She's allowed to have it.
How do you make ice cream?
Well, I bought an ice cream maker years ago when the kids are little, like 2004, I think. I bought this ice cream maker, and then it's just been sitting in a cupboard, and so it's this frozen thing. You put in the freezer, you freeze it, and you put it in, and it just swirls it around. So it is so easy. You whip the cream, you make a curd, whatever it is, lemon curd, blackberry curd. You fry some apples and some cinnamon and sugar or whatever you're doing. You add it in. If there's no curd in it, you have to add some booze, otherwise it's too hard. So that's why I add the booze to the chocolate ice creams. Because you don't want it to be really hard to get out, do you? You want it to be, get out smoothly with the nice, So that's my excuse. So yeah, it's actually so easy. And there's something about it. I was really stressed last week, and I went, okay, I'm making ice cream, and it just calmed me right down.
There you go.
It's my happy place.
What the hell? Back to the open mics for a sec, because that's an obvious. This is actually connected. Back when we had in-person open mics, I actually had a science teacher in the local community, and he would bring me like random bizarre science tricks he would transmit his song through a laser to the back of the room through a speaker or whatever. And one week he made ice cream. And so I actually have had someone come in and for an open mic, perform the act of creating ice cream. And so I'm sort of glad to have kind of a full circle bizarreness of this. Now, this is sort of awkward because I'd had in my head that this was going to be my kind of end game. I
was thinking you're coming in a little early on the
I didn't really mean to go there. I just got obsessed with the ninjing, and then I thought I was meant to ask sort of like what other artists or music or I just didn't word it correctly.
If I'm going to bring it back to music, I'll bring it back to music.
Yeah, perfect.
While I was making the ice cream,
because
I don't listen to a lot of music because I'm making music and I just want quiet sometimes. But when I'm making this ice cream, or I was doing lots of other cooking as well, I started listening to old albums, and I was listening to albums back to front, which I hadn't done in years, and that was really nice to kind of.
That's awesome.
And it had to be stuff that I knew because I wanted that familiarity. Like I've never understood. My kids like to watch the same TV shows over and over again, and I've never understood that, and now I understand that familiarity of something that's comfortable. You know what's coming.
For sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good save.
Is that good? Did I do well?
That's perfect. Because otherwise we were going to be like collages and out, and I just wasn't ready for that yet. Sorry, Christine. Kuf. Kuf. So you're talking about collaborations, and you were talking about collaborations last night. We were talking about collaborations, I think, with the rest of the hip hop community, sort of like talking about like sending beats and production back and forth, which has always been like a very kind of digital back and forth. You're sending stuff back and forth, and you're also doing video work and things like that.
Yeah.
One of the issues that I've run across within Baltimore and with the hip hop artists that I've been dealing with here, is that the live stream, and you sound like you haven't been doing a lot of live streaming in that side of things.
Right.
And broadband rollout in our Baltimore community, especially in the inner city, is not strong. It's just not there. And it's been really frustrating watching the hip hop and the slam poet and, you know, that whole world sort of drop off the cliff in accessing their audiences.
Right.
How has your world, and God forbid I ever deal with another beatboxer sending me a phone video, like this is not the correct medium. How has that world been adapting?
Well,
Have you? I'm not quite sure where I'm going with that. I'm just curious about that from other cities because I don't get to talk about it much.
Yeah. So what I've been doing, like, it's been working out well, because what's happened is a lot of these MCs have, you know, done the same thing, built a studio like in the closet or in an open space. And really to record vocals, you just need a mic, you know, and a space. So it's been working out well. Yeah, I think that, you know, with hip hop anyway, a lot of it is done out of the house or back room anyway, like, you know, from the start. So like that part of it hasn't changed that at all. But I think it hasn't changed that at all. Yeah,
the live performance aspect, I think, is the part that, you know, has been hard hit here in Baltimore.
That has been, for sure. Well, also too, there's not like, you know, it's hard to perform like a hip hop show out of your bedroom, you know?
Yeah. It depends on your students, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, so like I think spoken word would probably, you know, that might not have been affected as much.
Yeah, that never seemed to stop. It just kept rolling.
But like, yeah, for like the live hip hop, and because, you know, it's all energy. It's all energy. Giving it, receiving it, giving it, receiving, a lot of call and response. So you don't, you know, that's very hard wrapping into a screen.
A lot of this is really hard going into a stream, but yeah, like the back and forth that I, you know, had at my venues in Baltimore, just doesn't even fly.
For sure.
It's been really awful. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm saying, but also it's like, it's good because it's forcing us to figure it out and make it
What
work.
is I guess technically speaking, what have you had to learn? What sort of blew your mind that you're able to do now that you couldn't do a month ago or a year ago?
Everything.
Everything. Nice.
Because like I said, like, so literally, like, we were really on the road all the time. And on the road, we learned sound. Yeah. Because we did a lot of our own sound out of either like being so frustrated by
right. I can imagine you showing up to a club and being like, here's my aux cord, and everybody's like, no problem. And then you're like, and here's my freaking upright harp. And they're like, you got a mic for that?
I won't even get started on that.
And balancing it, you know. And what's interesting too is people usually assume that because it's the main instrument that it needs to be heard over the production, because, you know, and it just should be sitting right in there, like, with it, you know? Right. So we've kind of figured out that level, that balance, and
because when it's not with a full band, it's with, like, you know, the music, the bass of it coming out of like a computer or whatever it may be. So there's the track, and so a lot of times, like, just automatically engineers think that the track should be very low and the harp be up front when it's actually the opposite. So it's like it was a lot of like having to figure that out. And it got to a point where we're just like, all right, we're going to bring our own sound. So we're just going to do our own sound. So then that transferred into like, you know, when COVID hit, we really had to dive into learning the sound and getting it just right. And then just learning different programs to run the music off of and stream it. It was really like, it was definitely hard, but it was also so like, it was beautiful to be learning all this new stuff and becoming
get a
like,
lot of control.
Yeah, becoming, you know, self-sufficient artists and not having to depend on, you know, anyone to help us with that.
Believe it or not, I've mixed hip hop bands before, so like I feel your pain, or rather, I'm all about solving that problem. It makes me happy. Rachel, what would you say is the biggest thing you've learned in the last year?
I've learned how
not about swinging off things.
No,
just,
no.
It's a technical. Yeah, thank you. Okay.
No. I mean, I've learned that it's never too late to learn how to make minor adjustments in your life. That they don't have to be gigantic adjustments in order to feel something different happen. You can write the songs the way that you've always written them, but you can do it on a slightly different instrument, or you can tune it differently, or you can, you know, write late at night if you used to write in the morning. I think the small adjustments, you know, allow us to keep growing and to keep having the agility to like navigate the pandemic. And lots of unexpected things have happened, like unrelated to the pandemic for me anyway. Like the house across the street burned down, nobody was hurt, but like it was the middle of the night, it was election night, we woke up to sirens. Like I've never run out of a house barefoot before with my children. That happened, you know. I've never seen flocks of birds
on election night. That must have been terrifying.
It was bizarre. We went to bed not knowing who the president was going to be, and we woke up to the sound of what sounded like Trump won, but it was actually run, run. And we saw a house on fire, a car on fire. We just left the house. I mean, so wildfires, birds swarming in new formations. I mean, the world is changing and swirling around us, and we are on our toes and in community. And so I've just like a million tiny adjustments is what I've learned this year, and I'm grateful for each one of them. And I offer them, you know, to folks, like brush your teeth with your left hand or your, you know, your weaker hand, you know, just like little adjustments. It keeps it interesting, it keeps you learning, and you never know when these skills are going to come in handy.
Okay, so Kuf and Christine had to learn everything. You've learned little changes are really important and little directions.
Yeah.
Oh, Helen, are you right in the middle? Or what do you think have been the big things you've learned in the last year? It's a horrible, huge question, I know.
It is. I mean, one of the things I'm loving is the releasing monthly music, not having to be tied down by an album cycle. I've learned to make videos in a way. I mean, I used to make videos anyway, but now my video skills are like so much better, and I learn something new every time I go to Final Cut. And, you know, and I shouted it a few times, and then it settles down. And then
any new curse words in that vocabulary as you shout it Final
just,
Cut, or
just the usual,
same old? Okay,
yeah,
cool.
And I'm doing all the PR. Obviously we're not hiring PR people for that, so for releases. So I'm doing all the PR. So I'll do it under a different name. I do it under my. Well, I always wanted to when I.
You don't have to tell us.
No. My husband bought a what's it called, a URL years ago called Jetpack Pony. He never used it for anything because he's a software guy. And I said, can I use that? And I'll go under Nell Squires, which is Nell's short for Helen, and Squires would have been my married name had I taken it. So I'm now Nell Squires of Jetpack Pony for Big Little Lions, which is kind of fun. You know,
You're
just being
hired.
somebody else. And because
then feeling like you weren't supposed to say that out loud, but
I mean, you know what?
I'm up for it.
Yeah, I decided if people know, that's fine. I don't really care because it takes you out of trying to sell yourself. So I am a separate person selling Big Little Lions, and it just makes it feel better. Sometimes I do it under Big Little Lions. It depends what mood I'm in, really. So I've learned a bunch. I've learned in a 29-year marriage you can learn new things about each other.
Oh.
It's been good, but it's like, whoa, okay. I didn't know we had those problems. Okay.
Oh.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I married him on a whim to keep him in the country in England, so it was kind of a so.
Well, that's a whole other interview.
It really is. But yeah,
Ethan Baird, I would like to suggest programming about crossing borders and keeping them in the country through romance. Exactly. Well, I don't think I'm going to actually put that in the suggestion box, but yeah. Like the difference of your life when you think, oh, well, I spend 6 to 10 to, 10 months on the road out of my life, out of my year, versus all of a sudden being at home. I tour with my wife, and so, being stuck here with her hasn't been very different from being stuck with her on the road. And I've been very, very fortunate in that. I don't know that I really want to go down that road talking about, the relationships and things like that. We're sort of a little bit more to talk about writing, and we're talking about production and things like that. But I don't know Kuf and Christine's situation, but Rachel, I know that you have your wife there. Has she been like, holy crap, you're here all the time? Could you go on tour? No, you can't go on tour. Can we figure this out? Is that the reason you've been writing in the middle of the night rather than in the morning? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's in some ways it's the opposite because I've always worked at home when I've been home. It's more like the kids have been home and she's been home, and we've all had to kind of share space in different ways. But it's like I'm into it. I like the change. I actually think it's going to unearth like innovation in new ways. I don't think we're going to go back to the same world that we started in. I don't think the music world is going to go back to the same music world that we started this in. I'm excited about some of the adjustments, the changes, the innovations, the necessity of, creative problem solving. I mean, creative problem solving to me is going to be at the heart of how we repair so many of the problems we've created in the past however many years of being on this planet.
I'm stunned by watching us evolve.
Yeah, like let's be more creative. Like let's just like come out with creative ideas and riff on new ideas. And music is just it's at the heart of that a lot of the times.
Gotcha.
So I'm into it. I'm positive. I like your positive theme, and I'm riding it on my little ship here.
Ain't my positive theme. I'm doom and gloom to the deathbed.
Just want to say though, I am still happily married. Just in case it sounded like things were falling apart terribly.
29 years, and I finally discovered that actually, oh my God, yeah.
No, it's challenging. It's challenging. It's
absolutely.
You think there's nothing else to. After that amount of time, you go, oh, there's not a lot more else to learn. Then you go, oh yeah, no, there is. There's more to learn. It's cool. It's really cool because it's like we're discovering things that we never. Yeah, we were supposed to be empty nesters. My son was supposed to be at university, and that was it. And I was supposed to be able to tour wherever I wanted because my kids were gone. And then it was like, oh no, we're home.
Yeah, my drummer's got that going on in their world a little bit, where she just she's it's definitely not the world that she thought she was part of. Things have changed up a lot. I'm sort of scrolling through my little list here. We've hit a little bit on releasing our music, and obviously the pandemic changed our release calendars and how we're doing things. Rachel, I'll come back to you. Plus or minus, actually, Kuf, Christine, have you settled on a new device yet? You're good. Okay, actually, no. Let me row back. I haven't bugged you guys for a little bit.
My computer died.
Finding chargers in the pandemic has been like a major issue.
Yeah.
Talk about sharing space with people. I'm like, everybody, label your chargers now. Mommy is not going to play this. Stop. Yeah. I've had to label so many chargers.
Yeah, and no two cameras have the same charger.
Ever.
I'm going to do it again. Do you have the same charger as you do? Oh, hell no, we don't. Whoa, it's really frustrating. Kuf and Christine, what change do you think that you've adopted through all this? Give me one keeper, and give me, oh my God, I can't wait until this goes back.
Well, I'd immediately say I can't wait to get back on stage.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a gimme. Give me something else. Give me something else.
I mean, yeah, traveling. That's like, I want to be back traveling and just being with people.
Interacting with people, being around people, for sure. For sure.
Well, we missed that certainly. But what's one thing that you've had to change up that you think, oh gosh, I wish I'd been doing it this way all along? If there is anything.
Yeah, for me, I'd say the production side of producing music and making music. That's something that I picked up during the pandemic. That's forever now.
Has the video side fallen? Does that fall into that as well?
Yeah, for sure. Producing music and video, yeah, for sure.
That's funny. I think we've all found, as musical artists, have found this like burgeoning visual outlet with video design.
Yeah, for sure.
Really falling in love with it. Helen, give me one thing that, I mean, okay, you can't pick going back on the road. You can't pick interacting with humans. One thing that you're just like, okay, this process was interrupted and I wish this would go back to the way it was. And one thing where you're just so grateful to have found a new way.
Oh, I don't know about the first one. The second one, I'm really grateful that Paul and I and Jenny and Trevor, our spouses, we talk every week. We do snack and chat every Wednesday night, which we didn't use.
Snack and chat.
Which we never used to do, because when we weren't on the road, when we didn't see each other, then we'd text, but we wouldn't chat. And because of this, we missed being at each other's houses, just hanging out. And so we were talking about this last night on our snack and chat night. We were saying we're going to continue doing this even when we're back on the road, because we only do 2 weeks at a time, because we want to stay married to the people we are married to. And so we only do 3 at the absolute max. And so we said, we're going to keep doing the snack and chat every week, because it keeps us bonded as a band. I say we have a bit of a sibling relationship, which we can be a little bit antagonistic with each other, and so our partners keep us. They're like our parents in a way. They kind of like. I
was doing that. I was like, but you're a duo, but you're talking about the quartet. You're talking about 4 pieces. You're not a quartet. It's the two married couples.
It's the spouses, gotcha. And they are their spouses are amazing. I mean, we are very grateful for them.
They have to be. Oh my God, any musician's spouse is just like a patient entity.
But you know what? What I haven't missed is the having to hug random people. Because as a woman, people shake Paul's hand and they always hug and kiss me. And I'm like, can you just not touch me? And it's frustrating. It's like I am a bit of an introvert. I like people, but I'm a bit of an introvert, and I just don't want to randomly hug everybody. So
it's funny. I feel like that the exposure of our introversion is something that a lot of the rest of the world has been allowed to say, and that we as musicians and as artists often can't, or maybe said, never alienate a fan that way, never turn away that thing. I mean, it's easier in the punk scene because you wear the big spikes. But I think it's important to realize, and certainly in the peer groups and things like that, as we're talking to each other about the difficulties of this lifestyle that we have chosen, this crazy calling and this mission that we're all on together, the idea that they're introverts among us, even though we like to be up on stage and we do these things that are very, very public eye. The idea that, man, I need my green room, I need my space, I need to step away. I mean, I'm still at the level where I play a lot of bar gigs, and I'm so grateful that probably may be a thing that I can finally put to bed. It's not part of my life anymore. And maybe, that's replaced by streaming, or that's replaced by something else, or maybe that's replaced by video production, whatever else. Rachel, you've heard the questions. You can't pick going on the road. You can't pick interacting with people. One thing that you can't wait to go back to normal, and one thing that you're just, man, you showed me the light. Let's go this way.
Just live jamming with people and improv and like freestyling lyrics and just having a guitar in a room and playing music with people. To me, that's where the creative sparks start often, is in that freestyle, creative, improvisational, spontaneous space, and we just can't get close enough to do that in COVID. I will the second part is what I want to keep
just
from
make
COVID.
something up. It's fine.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I'm with everybody. Like making the videos has been super fun. Just having, your phone be your companion, your little video pocket device that can capture things, and you can communicate things in music videos with or without lyrics and learn new skills. And I'm committed to putting out a lot of music videos ongoing, even after the pandemic ends. Embracing the midnight, the midnight laboratory of COVID.
I have to ask, how old are your
That's a
kids?
good phrase.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. I'm stealing that. Let me just
Yeah,
embrace
you can have it. My kids are
the
10,
midnight
8, and 3.
Oh, so you're really in the
laboratory.
thick of it, so they need you.
They need me, yeah. So when they go to bed, they need me less. And
Yes. I had a feeling, because that feeling of going, everyone's in bed.
oh,
I remember
yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's a big deal. So it's been really sweet. And then, there are international connections that come from that. Like people have mentioned here, I have been collaborating with people in Paris and Barcelona. And so my midnight is their morning, and you can be productive and constructive at different times of day. And I'm going to hold on to that with COVID. Just the whole international thing. Like a lot of my relatives are in Scotland. My mom's an immigrant, and she's the only one from her family who came here. So all my first cousins are in Scotland. We have a Sunday morning for me, evening for them, cooking event every Sunday where we cook,
Nice.
together. And, those are the types of things that you probably wouldn't have thought of without COVID. I wouldn't have. And so I'm going to hold on to those traditions, carry them forward.
Yeah.
Stuff like this, like this panel. Super cool.
Yeah.
Glad to be here,
Yeah. Thank you, Nerfa.
Thank you, Nerva.
Thank you, Nifa.
No, it's funny how we were forced into this connectivity in a lot of ways, and yet it's been such a boon to our existence. I certainly have reconnected with a fan base that you don't get to the small town in Mississippi every 6 months when you're touring through, but those fans are still there, and those friends are still there, and being able to connect in these ways has been maybe a little intrusive in ways, but it's been very intensely satisfying to be like, oh yeah, I remember you made those amazing cookies. Oh my goodness, thank you so much. It's really good to love this seasick bracelet. If there are questions that are coming in on the chat, I don't think I've seen too many things that are huge. That's a rude way of saying it. That's not saying your question wasn't important. I'm just saying that, it doesn't look like there's a lot of questions and things going on in the chat. A lot of thank you for sharing your stories and things like that. If there are questions, I don't know that we're probably going to dive into a particular Q&A here, but feel free to throw them in there, and we all know where to find these chats, these videos and posts, and I have encouraged the artists to poke through there and just see if there's anything where you want to share a little bit further. Megan Carey did ask if this could be a huge question. How did you go about recording and completing an album? Or what did you have to learn to do that in this time? Now, I feel that, Helen, you'd said you'd sort of already been operating this way. You're dumping things back and forth on Dropbox and things like that. And I guess you're working in the same DAW or something like that so that you can throw things back and forth.
No, we literally just send each other WAV files. I mean, he does most of the production. He does pretty much all the production, and he's got mad skills. And so I do my bits from my end and drop him the WAV files. He throws it all together and.
Gotcha. Well, that makes more sense. Yeah, it's going one way with the production on the side. That's cool. Rachel, have you been doing that? You've built the Studs, and how do you actually execute an album between yourself and freaking Paris and LA and wherever else that you're
Similarly, microphone, GarageBand, a laptop. That's it. Sometimes an iPhone.
I love when the answer is GarageBand, and the idea isn't like, you're not investing in you're not having to throw Pro Tools.
I'm
We're finding a way.
guitar and vocals at most, so I just.
That's
I go
right,
with
Air
it.
Gigs.
Yeah.
Kuf, Christine.
Yeah, well, I mean, for our parts, we were able to go into the studio, but
you're actually physically going to a studio,
right? But we had all the people we collaborated with send us stuff. They record our parts at home, and send it to us, and then we just place it in and edit it at the studio with our engineer Glenn. Glengineer.
Yeah.
It's so nice when there's an easy nickname. Yeah. Well, yeah, I did want to address that because I saw that come by. Oh my God, air gigs, and which is a concept that I'm not entirely sure that I comprehend. The idea, I guess, air gigs is. Ethan, I don't know that you want to come in and explain that for us real quick, but I encourage people to check out Air Gigs from what I caught of where you can both put up your skills as a session player and also, hunt for the skills of a session player and things like that. It seems like a pretty fascinating platform.
It is an entire ecosystem of tools. Basically, you can go there not only to find other musicians, but also to find production, recording, engineering, marketing, PR, songwriting. All of those things live under that space. So if you are any one of those things, it is a place for you to virtually sell those skills. If you need one of those things, it is a place to find it.
Okay, cool. That was going to explain it a lot better than my babble was going to go. And while you're here, I did want to mention that NERFA also has a survey in place that you're trying to encourage people to go check out, fill out. There's that link. Everyone goes straight to survey.monkey.com/r/. No, you'll go ahead and throw that in the chat, and that'll make that easier for everyone.
Well, you could also pull up your phone and just point it at the screen, and it'll take you directly there. That's what that little funky square does. No,
that's crazy talk.
No.
That's too futuristic. I've been amazed by QR codes. Like it had really literally never occurred to me to put those on a screen because I'm like, but you're viewing on your screen. And I've been amazed by artists using those as redirects, real quick things. It's like it was a cool example of technology that I'd only run across, for posters and things in advance. To see them used in video had just not even occurred to me for a while.
For what it's worth, I've seen a number of artists that instead of the piece of cardboard with "please tip here," have put up the QR code, and it really does sort of help in that world.
Yeah, I've seen that a couple of times, and I can't get past myself. I can't get past the visual.
Yeah, I haven't quite embraced it yet.
By Ethan. Ethan Baird back there behind the scenes has just been such a mover and shaker of NERFA, and I really appreciate that he's been, embracing me virtually as a host. And if you haven't had a bear hug, Helen, you can certainly, we don't want it. We don't want the hugs. That's okay. But a bear hug from Ethan is stunning. And really, he'll just work on all the vertebrae. I do feel that I'm kind of wrapping around. I'm coming around to my end point, which was going to be about what more non-music related thing has gotten you through COVID. And we accidentally talked about ninjing. And then that threw us into the ice cream. And so we've had answers from Helen and Rachel, which means Kuf and Christine, exactly as I totally failed to envision and had planned to not do, could you please end us out by talking about collages?
Well,
it's the visual art that we're finding. Tell me about your collages.
You sift through the magazine, and then, yeah, I used to use collages when I actually was going down in having a breakdown when I was younger, and I used this as a relief to really get out what I was thinking in my mind, and then it kind of shifted to music for a while, but then this pause and having a moment to stop, I dove back into making collages. But it was so cool to see that since I'm at a different place in my life, how different they have become. So that kind of window from my past has come back, but I could see my growth from doing it now. So it was just kind of like a coping skill that I had before that I was interested in bringing back, and they became these surreal, vintage, different kind of collages then. they were when I was
And
15.
you sold them. And you
Yeah.
sold them online.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So that must have been a different way to reach out to your fan base and be like, so about this other thing that I'm doing, check this out.
And then he made a
That's
video
cool.
for it, so that was
Yeah.
cool.
Nice. I think that one of the most amazing things about COVID is that everything has I don't remember who was. I think actually Rachel was sort of saying about like there are a lot of positives in this hard reset that we've had in our universe, and I think there's a lot of power to the idea that maybe as a culture every decade or so we need a hard reset. It'd be amazing to do it without the death of 500,000 Americans, and counting, of millions of people, and but this feeling of synchronicity and this feeling of synergy that we have with all of our art forms, things that we'd set down in years past and things that we picked up during this. The joke is that people have picked up sourdough and home improvement, but man, I don't think it's a joke when you realize the kind of personas that go into the passionate and mind-bending thing that is creating entertainment or creating music or creating these art forms for other people. If we didn't find these semblances of sanity, man, we the kind of nuts we'd have gone would have really not been pretty.
I have another
go ahead.
thing that has changed my life, which is a Fitbit.
Oh, please do.
My Fitbit has changed my life. I got it just before COVID, and I used to hate any form of exercise other than skiing. And now I walk every day, and if I don't, I've now irritatingly become one of those people. If I don't walk, I get sad. I'm like, oh man, really? But it's really good for me. So I'm not
It's like
ninja.
it doesn't matter
I'm
that
not
they're
quite
tracking me because I'm right here.
Well, it's just having a goal every day of 10,000 steps. And it means I can eat the ice cream, which is nice. And I obviously it is very good for you mentally, which I say I'm not ninja status, and I will never be ninja status. But hiking, that's been a life changer.
It's nice. Yeah, walking around Baltimore's neighborhood, I've been walking around a lot, and it's a really, really good thing, and I've met people that I wouldn't have met otherwise. From a safe distance, and that awkward moment where you try to discover, okay, what's your comfort level? It's just step here. I got my mask here if you want to talk further. Oh, do you need help with the groceries? I got my mask. Okay, let's do this. And just, being very focused on this couple of square blocks around me that I've never had to explore because I'm about to drive to Wayne, Pennsylvania. Is that where your last gig was? So this beautiful moment where you realize how very connected a lot of the things that we do are, and how, frankly, we've kind of eliminated some of the chaff and gotten rid of some of the things that really didn't freaking matter, and I won't be missing when they fail to come back. Has been a beautiful thing. I think I am bringing us to a stopping point. I want to say thank you to NERFA for especially these sorts of things are awesome. And I'm so grateful that the artists get to tell their stories. No, thank you. No, let's not do that. The peer groups and letting the artists work through things with one another has been really, really powerful. I haven't been able to attend many of them because I've been doing community stuff on my own and doing that same thing. But the peer groups are sort of stunning with realizing, oh my goodness, you're not alone in all of this. Performer@nerfa.org if you are looking for people to talk to. It's a Monday night or Monday afternoon group if you're on the Eastern Coast. And so I encourage you to reach out there if you're an artist. And for the audience members out there, let us know that you're out there, because it means everything to us as artists to realize that we're still connecting with you. And I hope that it means something pretty big to you, that we value that connection so much. I know that many of my fans, and I'm sure many of your fans, all your friends and things like that, have reached out to say that this is important to me. So we got to keep doing what we're doing. reaching out and realizing that organizations like NERFA, I know, Helen, you talked about last night about how supportive Canada has been. Here's that moment when a lot of our governments are actually doing maybe what they're supposed to be doing and supporting us when times are really, really rough. Maryland has been amazing with supporting arts. Baltimore has, really stood up and supported the arts community. So I'm very grateful for that. There are a lot of resources out there, and a lot of them can be provided at nerfa.org. And that's my signal, folks.
When we play you off.
Totally.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way. Yeah, I think I was a little bit babbly there anyway. So let's wrap this up. I want to say computer got stuck. Yeah, right. Ethan, you were saying shut up. I want to say very big thanks to Helen Austin and your big little lions. I want to say thank you so much to Rachel Austin. Wait, no. Oh, man, I screwed up the names because they're not in front of me right now. Thank you, Rachel Garlin. Terrible hosting. And Kuf and Christine, thank you so very much coming from New Jersey to join us this evening.
Nice
My
to
name's
meet
been
everyone.
Rob Hinkle. Yeah. Let's all give a big wave and farewell. And thank you to you all. nerfa.org. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Farewell.
Good night.
Bye. Get in touch.
Press the button.